You got it? Yeah, we got it. Alright. Yo, what's up? Terrell here for Terrell Game Vlogs, here to bring you my teen romantic comedy SNAFU Season 2, Episode 3 review. This was one of them hard episodes to watch. And it's not really hard. It's kind of like how, I think, what was it, Episode 9 or 10 from last season was, where I watched the episode. I watched the episode and I was just kind of like, because almost every scene is kind of cringeworthy for different reasons. Starting off with the first scene with Hickey Guy and his sister. That's like one of the first, I think that's the first time we've seen them argue. And it's getting into the underlining point of the episode, and I'm not going to go over every little thing, because I watched the fan sub version and the Crunchyroll version. Crunchyroll version is better, purely because the translation of certain phrases make more sense in the context of the episode, versus the fan sub version, which kind of just started throwing shit together. There are certain phrases you'll notice, especially when it comes to the Yuki Noshita Hickey Guy arguments in this episode. Oh my lord, sub Crunchyroll, thank you, because that didn't make as much sense in the sub version, in the fan sub version. But that's getting past that, talking about the major issues here. So it's obvious that the tension and the issues from the Hina shit did not get fixed and is not canceled out. That obviously is carried over into this, where our current little situation is that we need to help, what's her name, Iroha, find a way of getting out of being student council president while at the same time keeping her standing, her decent standing, which is really fucking annoying because it gets to the major character issue. It's like, so you don't want to have this responsibility, but you don't care enough about not having the responsibility to where you would rather keep your personal standing instead of just saying, I don't want to do it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And it kind of gets into something Yuki Noshita says near the end of the episode, where when Hickey Guy does what he did in the last episode, where he bullshits an answer, meaning he uses the logic behind his answer to bullshit his real reason for doing it the way he's trying to do it. And she's like, you're just doing what you did last time, which is avoiding the problem at hand. The problem then was the fact that Hayama and Hina's and that everyone's little group relationship there is hollow as fuck, and that needed to be broken down, period. All Hickey Guy did was protect something that wasn't worth protecting in the first place, which was the major character flaw. Here, you're going to try to help her pretty much shirk responsibility but still keep her stand. Like, you're doing something to benefit this girl that literally doesn't benefit her as a person. Like, as a person, what does it say to have the ability to be able to shirk responsibilities and certain standings and not even have the fucking balls to say you just don't want to do it? It's going to be a different story if she said she didn't want to do it and they're forcing her to do it. But she just doesn't want to lose social status. And it's like, who the fuck cares? And then that gets into the issue. And then we also get into I felt so bad for Yui in this episode specifically, because Yui's role, as I've said in the first season, is to hold these two together. These two don't work by themselves for obvious reasons. This episode being another one of those examples. So Yui, unfortunately, has to now find, which is probably why the next episode is called Yui Makes Her Decision, because Yui has to do something to keep them together. And Yui is the trigger. Yui is the glue. So it's like, if their two are at odds again, then she needs to stretch out, grab them, and pull them back, which is kind of the whole symbolism behind, like, every time you see them as a group, Yui's always in the middle, grabbing onto both of them. The only difference, I think, that's changed in the second season, that Yuki Noshita has changed the difference, which kind of tells you that the whole theme behind the second season is to push Hickey Guy. Because, I'm going to be honest, and see, I love Hickey Guy to the point where it, like, hurt me. It hurt me to see him struggling, but I know what you're going to have to do to get him to change. Hickey Guy is one of them characters you're going to have to break down. Like, you need to smash him. You need to completely destroy him on his ideology. And because, see, what Hickey Guy is going through is what every stereotypical human does, where they know they're on some bullshit and then they just refuse not to stop. It's a really bad trait that people do and have, and some people just refuse to change, and that's currently what because Hickey Guy knows he's on bullshit. He knows the way he handled Hina's problem contradicts his ideology, and he understands that in this situation, it's not the same thing, but it's somewhat similar. And the fact that he's so willing to self-sacrifice for other people that he has no reason to do that for. It also was kind of and he's not even doing it for them anymore. He's doing it, well, that's a bonus. Hikigai's reasoning behind self-sacrifice, especially recently, these last two arcs specifically, is because he realizes that Yukinoshita and Yui are getting too close. This episode does nothing but confirm that they're getting too close. Why? Because this is the most we've ever seen him physically, like, he's been the most physically, visibly showing of his emotions. Like this one in the last arc, even in the beginning of the second season, the first episode, he was a lot more like expressive, which in the first season he wasn't. First season he kind of kept his stereotypical dead face and he didn't really change, emotions that much. But it's like, to the point where even Komachi notices it. It's like, you seem off. You seem different. Why? Because they've affected him so much that when some shit happens with them, he visibly shows it now. He went and got a different type of drink from his usual Max coffee. So it's like, it's obviously bothering him, and I think he's actively trying to push them away. He's trying to reset it. That's what he's trying to do. Because in his mind, he's like, well, it's like, that's why he says right before he walks into the room, he's like, oh, this will just be like it was before, where me and Yukinoshita are going at odds with each other. And he's okay with that because he wants he'd rather things just be reset to where that's the current standing. The problem is that he thinks that's what's the same. It's not the same. See, the difference between that and then and now is that then they didn't know each other. Now they know each other. So it's not a simple issue of, oh, we're just at odds. Like, it's just a clash of ideas. No, this is you having a truly personal problem that they don't want you to be having. Because, like, that's the thing. It's like, and that gets into why Yukinoshita kind of, this is also the most we've seen Yukinoshita flustered in intellectual debates. Because Yukinoshita, for the most part, always thinks pretty, straightforward, sharp as hell. It's never any type, she always knows exactly what she's saying. If you notice, when he first brings up the whole social suicide thing, the first time in the beginning of the episode, she just starts pulling reasons out of her ass. You can even tell that's what she's doing, to the point in which she notices it and she goes, oh, I'm sorry, I take it back. Because she realizes that's what the problem is. And that's how you gotta break Ikigai down. You gotta do one or two things. You need to trap him. You have to trap Ikigai to the point where he can't use anything as an excuse. And the way you do that is, especially with the social suicide thing, is you come up with a better plan. The problem is Yukinoshita can't, because she agrees that's probably the better way. That's probably like the best way to handle it. Like, out of all the ideas they have, that's like the best way to handle it. But if she submits to Hikigai and gives him that validation, then nothing changes. And that's why she brought up the showdown that neither one of them had brought up until this point. Because either one or two things happens. She's going to force him to change by breaking down his plan, which unfortunately she's having a hard time doing, because even she realizes that there's nothing wrong with the plan in terms of effectiveness. It's just wrong for Hikigaya. Because we know the only character who will be able to do what Hikigaya is suggesting is Hikigaya, which is why he bragged about it in the last episode about, he's like, I don't have to understand Hayama's reasons, because it's the way I am that I'm allowed to do certain things. AKA the reason why I'm able to do social suicides, because I'm so detached from everything. Even though at this point I think he's aware that he's actively hurting Yukinoshita and Yui. So Yukinoshita's trying to find. That's the reason why she's at odds with him right now, because she doesn't like the fact that he keeps doing that. Also because it feels like because he's also. And I also think it's the same problem that Hikigaya had with her in the first season, where she held Hikigaya to a certain standard, and when he fell off of that standard, it hurts her because of the sense of mutual respect they had for each other. It's the same thing here. It was the same thing like it was in the first season, where Hikigaya had a certain respect level for Yukinoshita, and when she fell off that, he was just kind of disillusioned. The difference is he kind of blamed himself for it, and I think she kind of blames herself for it too. That's why she struggles so much in this episode. And then we got to also talk about the ex-girlfriend thing. Not ex-girlfriend, the girl that I don't know what you call it, the girl that he asked out in middle school bullshit. Because I did glance at the light novel, because the one thing I've noticed is that people have been saying that they've been skipping certain scenes in the light novel. And a lot of people complained about them skipping the scene here. Because the scene where where Hayama and them are eating and talking and shit, they skipped that in the anime episode. But the scene really isn't even important for anything the girls say, except for the fact that, what's her name, Orimoto, just likes to rag on Hikigaya like an asshole. What the most important thing, and I'll go ahead and tell you this, because for those who don't read the light novel or a glimpse of the light novel, you wouldn't know. The biggest thing to take away from that cafe scene is that, is when you hear Hikigaya's monologue, which is the monologue in which he goes, he's not really salty about them not being together or her rejecting him. He's more mad at himself that he fell in love with a girl, or he was interested in a girl who turned out to be this kind of person. Like, he's mad at his standards for women, because he's like, look at this girl, look at how she acts now, and this was the girl I was interested in not even like a few years ago. That's, I think, that was the major thing to take away is that monologue where and that scene's already uncomfortable, and then like Harna is just terrible. We also do get some slight Yukinoshita, I'm not gonna say it's foreshadowing, but hinting, which is the whole Yukinoshita Harna being like, oh well, she sent us gifts, but you could tell, but it's not that it's not because she likes us or she cares. Harna goes, she hates us, but she doesn't want us to hate her. Which, it seems like the kind of person Yukinoshita is. Yukinoshita's major character flaws more so in the fact that she's withdrawn herself to a point where it's like she wants to help people, but she doesn't have really the right personality to do it. Which is why Hikigaya gets further in her than when it comes to effectiveness. Because Yukinoshita is trying to do things in like that stereotypical nice girl way, but she herself is not a character who can really do that in her own right. And she's also a character who still worries about other things, even if she's not really open with her emotions. Kind of the same thing as Hikigaya. She's not open with her emotions. So it's like, yeah, she doesn't like Harna. She doesn't like her mother. I don't know about her father. From what I've heard, she likes her father. But she doesn't like certain family members. But she wants to keep up a certain status quo. Even talking about the student council thing, about her, which goes back to the season 1 issue of her wanting to emulate her sister. Oh, she didn't want to be student council president? Well, I wasn't student council president either. And it's just like, oh. So Yukinoshita hasn't even fully gotten over her own character flaws yet. So, and also we still got to address the car incident, which I don't know if we're ever going to address, but whatever. Fuck. And I feel like what Yui's going to do is also kind of a foreshadowing for what Hirutsuka said, which is that the way you do things now, you're not going to be able to save the person you really want to save the most. Which is exactly what it is. He's going to be forced to change. Either someone is going to make him change through an event that happens, or he's going to have to get broken the fuck down. I mean, you're going to have to completely crush his ideology when it comes to social suicide specifically. Because what he's doing is, even if he's aware that he's doing it, but what he's doing is he's hiding behind the social suicide logic to further his agenda of not getting close to people. Because it's kind of obvious they've gotten too close. The first, like one of the first few scenes in the first episode of this season has shown they've gotten a lot closer. Even the cute ass scene of them eating together, like sharing food, they've gotten too close. And now he's like, that's bad, and he's trying to push them away. So Yukinoshita needs to crush him. And it's hard for me to say about that character because I like Hikigaya so much, but that's really what it is. You're going to have to crush Hikigaya to get him to move. Because he won't change the way things are. Or probably what Yui's probably going to do is going to force him to change. Because Yui's probably going to do some martyr type shit. She's probably, like, that's because, you know, it's kind of obvious that social suicide is probably going to be the way of handling this. Yui, I could see doing the martyr shit and him being like, I can't, and he's going to be forced to change. That's probably what it's going to be. She's going to set herself up as a martyr to protect them from each other, because she's the glue that holds them together. So everything she does has a monumental effect on both of them, even if it's something basic as, you know, helping them out with, you know, working with them after school or some dumb shit. Like, Yui's that character. So, if anything's going to trigger it, it'll either be Yukinosha crushing his ideals, or Yui self-sacrificing, forcing him to change. So, we'll see what happens, but, man, so tense right now, bro. And this is the 3rd episode, bro. Oh, my Lord. But thoughts and comments in the comment section below. This has been Terrell Game Vlogs, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace all.